This is Vladimir and Omobola Stephen. I'm your host, Omobola Stephen. The show focuses on personal development and self-improvement topics, and we occasion expert and professionals who are adept in the topic of personal development and self-improvement. Personal development and self-improvement is a lifelong process that we must try to embrace along the course of our lives in order for us to transform from where we are to where we need to be. Now, it's a constant effort that we must try to put on. And I guarantee you that when you embrace personal development, you get to find yourself along the line. And in finding yourself, you realize there's so much possibilities and paths ahead for you if you don't give up on that. Now, that's the focus of the podcast, Vladimir and Omobola Stephen. We try to offer disruptive yet constructive mindship conversations on topics related to this. Today, I have Vladimir Baranov, who is an executive coach. Is on the show with me today, and we'll be exploring topics that is related to career and also business. Thank you once again for joining me on the show, Vladimir.
Absolutely, Omobola. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, and looking forward to a great time with it.
Mike, me too.
Yeah, sure. So I like to begin the my question with this. I'd like you to talk about the biggest misconceptions about career growth.
That's a great question. I think we're all are born in different places on this planet and different society. And as we grow up and we become adults and become professionals, those societies feed us myths or stories about how certain careers should happen. And some of those myths include things that career path is linear, that when you're a teenager, you should know exactly what you want to do when you grow up. You jump on that bandwagon, you study, and you become the best person you can for that profession. And for the rest of your life, you work in that role. That is a big misconception because that means that when you're a teenager, you're supposed to know what are you going to be for the rest of your life. But you go through changes. You grow, you learn, you gather more data, you meet other people. So your view and model of the world changes too. That means that your opinions of what you want to do when you grow up changes a lot too. So generally, I recommend for changing that perception and looking at life as a series of sprints, 5-year sprints, in which you choose a direction for yourself and you go in that direction. And at the end of 5 years, or maybe even earlier, reevaluate and choose a different direction for what is more appropriate for you. I'd say that's probably the top myth set that comes to mind at this moment.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, still talking about careers. We'd like to talk about the challenges of switching careers right now. Because some of us, because of the changes that is happening in the world today, some few people are tending towards switching careers. Is this really wise enough?
Right. So there are obviously many different prongs of the decision when you have to undertake a career switch. If you people need to be well compensated, but people also need to be happy. And in the end, it's also a balance, right? What is your priority? Is your priority to be very, very financially wealthy, but emotionally miserable? Do you want to be somewhere in the middle? Or are you fine getting no money, but being so exceptionally happy? Now, you can also find a balance where you get compensated as much as you need, but also be happy. And when you look at the perspective of other jobs, you can look at it through that lens. Whether you're willing to sacrifice your family time or yourself, but you get that wealth, or are you willing to sacrifice some of the financials so you can get the happiness? And it's all in the context of individual needs and individual passions and so on. Some of the jobs might not be able to be transferred into right away, and you might have to take some classes or gather some information additional that will qualify you more for that role. You might need to build a bigger network. You might review your resume. You might review your LinkedIn profile, review your pitch, your personal pitch about your own experiences for it to qualify. It might take time. It might take a year or two before you build the proper network for you to switch over. But whether it's wise or not, it's really it depends on the context of an individual who is asking the question.
Oh, really? So we have some folks who try to manage two business at the time. Now they have the circle of business, like running side hustles, and also they have I mean a tangible career side. So do you think
Sorry, Amabola. There was bad reception, and I didn't hear any of that question.
all right, I still talking about careers now. I said there are some folks out there who manage two business, they manage a business and also a career simultaneously back to back. Do you think this at the end of the day gives true fulfillment to that individual?
Um, I cannot answer that question because that would be depending on that individual. Some people have a lot of energy and can manage both a side business, multiple businesses, and a family and primary career. Some people are struggling where neither business or career are giving them the financial or personal return. And it goes back to the individual, what their priorities are. There's no right answer. There's a right answer for me, but there's no right answer for everybody because everybody has different preferences.
But have you been in that kind of situation before?
I have been in that situation before where I had a full-time job and I was trying to do a hustle on the side. And it's definitely harder to do that because your mind is split into multiple priorities. And it's general advice is to have the least priorities you have, the more likely you to focus on them and likely to grow. But the opposite advice to that, the less diversification you have in your efforts, the more likely one of them is going to bring you a non to a fortunate conclusion. There has to be a balance in between those outcomes.
Thank you, Vladimir, for that. So we talk about business and technology. The two go hand in hand, especially in this area of AI and all-round Internet of Things. So how can one communicate effectively between the business and tech?
That's a great question, and I always see individuals from either vertical stumble when it comes to communication across the barrier. I usually give a really good analogy in that regard. A really, really good doctor is going to be not able to talk to a really, really good lawyer using professional language because their experience is so vast and so different from each other. So when we talk about business and technology, people in business, very good business people, right? They can sell, they can close the deals, they can make relationships, they can make contacts. And people in technology are very well situated for work with the machines, orchestrate the machines, and orchestrate teams which can orchestrate the machines to solve specific business problems. The business people create the problem statement, and then usually technology solve it. Now, when it comes to communication, it's really good to have individuals from either team who's well trained on the cross communication. So if you have a technologist who has been trained on communicating with business and then a business who has been trained on a little bit tech, those people will be able to find the more common language than any other two individuals in a company. Because again, if you take the best technologist or if you take the best business person, they will fail to talk each other in professional terms unless they discuss the language they use, which refers to the same outcomes. For example, some of the things in technology has extreme limitations, like it might take longer than anticipated, or it might be shorter, it might be more expensive. And the business might not have that understanding where they believe that it's only management of the people that is important, and technology limitations are not important to consider when creating a problem statement. They might want things to be done faster for a greater number of people. They want it to be done a lot cheaper. But it's much harder to understand those the limitations if you don't have the background in technology. Technologists can do that, but they don't have the business outcomes in mind to communicate that. So again, when you have people who are a little bit cross-trained in technology on business and people in business on technology, those conversations flow a little bit smoother.
And now, looking at the global world, now, do you think business organizations, do you think they are considering this strategy at all?
Well, there are a lot of organizations in the world, and I'm sure some of them definitely are. It has been a revelation, I think, to many in business how much of technology is driving today's business. And what I've seen is that a lot of technologies have been gaining a very powerful decision-making executive positions at the companies, thus bringing technology conversation much closer to the final strategy and vision of the companies.
And I'm talking about executive positions now, still talking about the business organization. What is the best way really to manage upwards?
Best way of managing upwards?
That's right.
Okay, understood the question. That's a really good question. And one of the things that I found the most useful is to, one, you need to understand your executive priorities. And the easiest way to do that is actually go ahead and ask them, like, what are your priorities? What do you see to get accomplished in this business? What do you get to see accomplished in your role? And how can I help you with that? Right? So just asking that question gives you the answers of what you might be looking for as far as strategy to manage outputs. Many individuals have a list of complaints that they're not happy in their role about, and that's the things that they bring to their manager. And unfortunately, then ends up in a way that manager is supposed to solve their complaints. But why don't you try play the reverse role of a manager, where now you're trying to manage your manager's problem? And if you do that effectively, you will get more promotion, you'll get more responsibility, and you'll get more recognition inside the company. Another way, so this is the second way to recognize how can you help your manager, is to try to find another person in the network or outside of your company that is on a similar level of responsibility that your manager, and ask them more honest questions, especially the ones you cannot ask your manager directly. Like, how do you manage your team? How do you prioritize day-to-day activities? What do you do if somebody's misbehaving? You will be able to find information from another manager from other company, which then you can put that knowledge to use in your organization, and you can understand your manager a lot better.
Vladimir, how can we manage early startup risk? And we know that in this age that we are, especially as technology is getting rife everywhere. We talk about technology and talk about AI. Now we still talk about entrepreneurship, which is something that is booming in the world today. We have those who are starting up, but they face some kind of risk because they are startups. So what do you think, or what kind of strategy do you think they can employ to mitigate early startup risk?
Absolutely. So when we're talking about AI risk, is because AI is a very novel technology. Now, it has been researched for a very long time, but the very serious breakthroughs came just a few years ago. And I don't think anybody on this planet has the right strategy for AI. And my only advice there would be just learn as much as possible and monitor companies similar to your own on how they implementing AI and what technology tools they're putting to use for their vision and strategy.
Thank you once again, Vladimir Baranov, for the insight you shared with my audience. Most people talk about purpose, and so many of us are still struggling to find a purpose. Now, the question I like to ask you really is there anything like finding purpose? Are we really meant to find purpose, or how do we define purpose and how we can actually be living in purpose?
Yeah, it's a very deep philosophical question. I define personally purpose in a way that organizes all of my efforts as in business and family, that pushes humanity just a little bit forward in a way that it proliferates and gets more ground on this planet or other planets. And I think and the way I think about my role is that as long as anything that I do through my conversations and through my work pushes that humanity and helps humanity achieve that, then I believe that I'm living a purposeful life. For others, it could be very different. For others, you have very different emotional requirements that you need to satisfy. For others, you might need financial requirements or legacy requirements that you need to satisfy in order to define your purpose. But this is actually one of the questions that I talk a lot with my clients through some of the more powerful questions.
Vladimir, this is the time for you to share any exciting news. Perhaps you have a project you think it's going to be very beneficial to the audience of Vladimir and Omobola Stephen. You can go ahead to share that.
Yes, so I'm currently actually working on a small project for myself in marketing, where I'm trying to find interesting, highly achieving clients who want to get their career and their businesses to the next level. And I have few slots on my calendar available to have those conversations. And because of your connection, Omobola, I'm offering first sessions very complimentary, and they can be accessed through my websites at humaninterfaces.co/Omobola. And this way you'll be able to register yourself for a complimentary session.
Great, good to know. Thank you once again for that. We wish you best of luck in these projects and in subsequent ones that you embark upon. Do you have any parting word you think my audience would like to benefit from?
I just wanted to wish that I hope that everybody finds their purpose and meaning in their work and their life.
Absolutely. There we are. Thank you once again for that inspiration. I'd like you to further share your social media handles and your website.
Okay, sure. And so my website is humaninterfaces.co. And again, the complimentary session can be accessed through humaninterfaces.co/Omobola.
Absolutely. So we can also find the social media handles on your website, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Absolutely, sounds great. Thank you, Vladimir Baranov, you're an executive coach. Now we've explored topic, especially focusing on career growth and also in our businesses, and also talking about our purpose, which is a topic that we can't help but talk about. Thank you for sharing your thought once again. I and my audience, we wish you best of luck in the projects that you embark upon. Vladimir.
Great, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
sure. Then you continue to transformative, destructive, yet constructive mindship conversations on topics or the subjects on the personal development and self-improvement on Live World by Omobola Stephen. I need you to tune in once again. I will talk to you soon. Do you have a great day ahead?
Okay, you
Talk
too.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Vladimir.